Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you will please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Let us pray. Loving God, we give you thanks for the privilege of living in a nation that chooses its leaders and for those who make the decisions for the best interest of all those of that community. Guide us to reach those principles described in the Declaration of Independence and guide us to live by the vision given and help us to make good decisions for this community. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Join with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Keeling, the roll, please.
Kerry Hodge, Ward 1. Jay Stipp, Ward 2.
Here.
Louis Tonsmeyer, Ward 3.
Here.
Lindsay McDaniel, Ward 4.
Here.
Diane Tate, Ward 5.
Here.
Lori Pruitt, Ward 6. Here.
Thank you, Connie. First order of business is the approval of our council meeting minutes from June 19th. Council, you've had these well in advance of this evening, and the chair will entertain any edits, corrections, additions, or discussion thereof. If not, a motion would be in order.
Mayor, didn't see any corrections or additions. Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. We're going to start with the second reading of an ordinance, speed table ordinance edition. If Mr. Sanders, if you'll get us started on that, please.
Thank you, sir. This ordinance revision would put in place a process by which mayor and council could approve for the installation of speed tables if certain criteria are met. And there's been no changes, and we recommend approval.
Okay. Got a couple questions on this. I do know that, last meeting we had a little heavier than usual rock to carry, so we may have kind of passed this off a little bit. I'd like to have a little discussion. I know that some of the council members had a couple of potential edits on this. I had a question relative to the requirements for the study, that section 1 where it defines what a local residential street is. And it is that just a standard criteria? I hate to kind of blindside you with that, but is that, where did you get that definition? Is that just what your definition is, or
The
is that
city of Marietta,
Okay. That's fine.
we burglared their existing ordinance that they've had on the books for several years and seems to be working, so.
Okay. Perfect. The only other comment I had relative to that was in the section where you mentioned a public hearing before council. It says that emergency service providers will be requested to provide information to the council related to the effects of installing speed tables in a requested study area. I don't know, it requires a wording change, but I certainly think that the information about emergency service providers needs to be provided at the public meeting relative to these speed tables, because somebody's opinion, somebody may not consider that. So if we can kind of move some of that information into the public meeting portion, that would make me feel better.
Okay.
You follow that?
Yes.
Okay. And
Tommy, I had a question. 12103, requirements for study. City of Cartersville must confirm that the requested streets are classified as local if they have a maximum posted speed limit of 30 miles per hour or below. Would that cover most of our streets?
Yes. Yes.
Can you think of one it doesn't cover? I mean, residential streets.
Almost all of our residential streets are posted at 25. There may be a few that are thoroughfares that may be posted at 30 that have residences on them, but most of them are 25 or 30.
That covers it.
I'm thinking like maybe Wofford is 30. I'm not positive. You know, it's got residential streets on it. I mean, residences on it. It's a residential street, but people do use it, you know, as a means to get from one place to another sometimes. You know, their destination might not be on Wofford.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion about items in this ordinance?
Mayor, there was one. It was just a wording discussion. I don't think the intent changes, but Mr. Sanders and I discussed it today. He passed out a different kind of wording to put into section 12-108, and I appreciate that, Tom.
I don't know if anybody else, does everybody have a copy of that?
I do not.
It's in your hands.
I know, I'm just saying there's like 5 of them and I'm going, these all can't be.
It's down this way.
I wonder if they were getting passed and I just didn't know, so there you go.
Do you want to review this? No.
We're not asking for legal opinion.
Could you recite?
Did you write that?
Anyway, Mayor, as you and I discussed, the section just led off with may be funded by the city of Cartersville, and I think the intent that we all had is that residents who banded together and wanted this would pay for it unless there was a hardship. Is that correct? That was my understanding.
That's the way it's worded.
I agree with that. I think that's correct.
I think initially when we were talking about that policy, you're correct, but there was, I think early on there was discussion that if these communities decided, obviously if there was criteria met, number one, but number two, that these communities would be responsible for funding the installation of those. And so I think the change in wording from, that's proposed, changed since the first reading, I think it's appropriate. But that's
You
up
wanna
for,
do
that's
that,
up for
yeah.
council to decide.
Right. Somebody would have to amend that if you want that to put in place.
Or just seek approval as amended?
You haven't amended it yet.
How do you want to do that?
Somebody's got to amend. I don't want to make.
We can't just approve it as it is?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that, let me get this correct. I'd like to make a motion that the speed table ordinance be amended, section 12-108, as in your hands.
That's the right way to do it.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All right, so we've got a motion, a second on the amendment to this ordinance. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll continue on that's been added and in there. Is there any other discussion, questions or comments, or any other edits, additions, or clarification that council needs? And if there's none, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tommy. The next item, emergency reading of the utilities ordinance. Mr. Reinhardt.
Honorable Mayor and Council, this is an emergency reading due to the fact that the rates went into effect today. I apologize, this is an oversight on my behalf. It was noticed actually when Bob and I were discussing a couple issues, and well, he noticed that they were a couple items miscalculated. Those items are in section 24-64, part A, item D, number 2, where it says apartments, multiples, and commercial meters. The city rate, it currently shows $2.42 per 100 cubic feet of, and it should be $2.47 per cubic feet. And the outside rate is currently stated at $3.56 per 100 cubic feet, and should be $3.64 per 100 cubic feet. Also overlooked was the section 24-147, where it talks about the sewage rates. The entire section was not updated. That was my error, and needs to be reflected in the ordinance that is being prepared tonight. I recommend approval of the amended ordinance as presented tonight, as again, it is a timely matter. Those rates have gone into effect today.
Yes, sir.
To do one reading as an emergency ordinance, it is required that the emergency be stated in the motion. What is the emergency? That's got to be put in the motion.
So it'd be a financial emergency, couldn't get these rates in place, the budget's not gonna work.
Just whatever it is.
Well,
somebody's got to
so
say it.
emergency to clarify a clerical error or an input error, or?
Whatever, I'm not saying what the emergency is. I'm saying the motion
It's
has
gotta
got
be
to
in
say
the
what the
motion. Gotcha,
emergency is.
okay.
Well played, Counselor.
Is that the right way to do it?
That is the right way to do it.
All right. Is there any discussion on this?
It's right.
Does it,
Right.
and does it need to be, as part of that motion, does it need to be retroactive to the beginning of business today? Or is that,
If you're gonna do that, you need to put it in the motion, otherwise it takes effect by operation of law at 12 midnight.
okay?
I'm gonna state the
Mayor,
emergency.
I'll try the motion.
Go right ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this emergency reading amendment to the utilities ordinance and the budget that we intend to be in place completely on July the 1st.
The emergency.
Is that enough?
Is the emergency, and the emergency is?
The emergency is that the budget must be in place by July the 1st.
In order to comply with the law.
Yes, sir. In order,
The law is a good thing.
in order to comply with the law.
I second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Does that?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Tom, are you up next with the LMIG? Is that, flying a little blind today, if you'll help us out with that, and then,
Yes, sir, thank you very much. This item is a grant application, the local maintenance improvement grant that we apply for each year from Georgia DOT. We are requesting permission for the mayor to sign the grant application. The grant is for $178,402.89. It does require a 30% match. If we would have passed the T-Splosh, that would only be a 10% match, but since we've been bad children.
Misbehaved.
Yeah, since we've misbehaved, we've got a match with 30%, and this money, the match will come from the 2003 SPLOST, and this money will be used in the resurfacing contract that was just awarded to C.W. Matthews.
any discussion on this item? And if not, Chair will entertain a motion.
I move that we authorize the mayor to sign this grant application.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Ford, I believe you have the next item.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a grant application for improving runway safety at the airport. The funding comes through the city, through the Airport Authority, and a request approval of the mayor and city clerk to assign any relevant documents related to this. We currently have a new engineer that's going to be in place on the Airport Authority, and they're going to have to fill out part of this letter before the mayor signs off on it. Total grant is $135,000. There's going to be a matching portion of approximately $7,500 that the Airport Authority will pick up that cost.
Okay, any questions for Dan on this? Not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Chief McCann, you've got the next one.
Mayor and council, this is a request to purchase a John Deere utility vehicle for the police department. It's a four-wheel drive vehicle that'll be used for the walking trails, the parks, special events, firing range, remote crime scene investigations. I sent out bids, 16 bids, got 3 back. 2 of them were from Sneed Equipment, and 1 was from Reinhardt Equipment. I recommend the low bid for Sneed Agricultural Supply for a John Deere model 550 S4 for $10,000, $393.50. This is a budgeted item. It comes in at approximately $5,000, less than what it was budgeted for. This purchase will be made with asset forfeiture money.
Correct. Any questions for Chief on this? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank
But
you.
wait, there's more. We've got 3 items to add to the agenda. Chair will entertain a motion to add those 3
So
items.
moved.
Second?
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
3 items are added to the agenda. And the first one is the letter on hazard mitigation. Chief Carter, if you'll handle that for us, please. Sorry for the curveball, Chief McCann.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Sorry for the curveball on that.
We've been contacted by Bartow County Emergency Management Director Paul Krapowski. They're getting in the preparation phase to prepare a new hazard mitigation plan for Bartow County. And they're requesting a letter from us issuing support for this process as they apply for a grant to pay for the preparation of the hazard mitigation plan. Hazard mitigation plan is the basis, once it's completed, for all the hazard mitigation grants that will be done over the next 4 years within Bartow County, and all municipalities are being contacted for support of this particular grant. There is the in-kind match that we would have a responsibility for, but that is handled by the man-hours of city staff that is assisting in the preparation of the grant, so there is actually no cash match on behalf of the city. We're requesting approval for you to sign a letter supporting this process.
Okay. Any questions or discussion?
Mayor, question. Chief, do you mean the man-hours will be kept up with? In other words, if the matching's 10,000, then you would keep up with the man-hours that work with the committee? Is that what you mean?
That's
by
correct.
in-kind?
Actually, the man-hours of all the city staff, because if you remember, we did this about 4 or 5 years ago. It involves all the departments across the city, and will be representatives on this committee that will have to do this plan, and all of those man-hours go towards the match as far as the grant is concerned.
And from a bigger picture, this allows us to get things like the grant for the 2 houses that we
Exactly. If we don't do our due diligence in the preparation of this plan, looking ahead on hazard problems that we've got, if it's not listed in those plans, you will not get grant funds down the road. So this is a very important plan.
Who takes the lead in this, Chief?
Bartow County Emergency Management Agency.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next item is relative to the, well, Sam, you're gonna handle it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had voter approval of tax allocation districts, and now we do have some interest in an area to be redeveloped. And one of the first things that we need to do is for the city to designate itself as the redevelopment agency. And if council should choose to, Keith has drawn up the wording of the motion under item 1 on TAD on the handout that you have. This is just a first step. There'll be many others.
Okay. Is there any discussion on what we're doing here this evening relative to TADS and redevelopment? Anybody need a moment to read that memo?
Are you ready for a motion?
If there's no discussion, I am.
I move to designate the mayor and city council of the city of Cartersville to serve as the city of Cartersville's redevelopment agency pursuant to the Redevelopment Powers Act.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Final order is Mr. Riggs, if you'll come forward. You've got a certificate request for the gas department.
Yes, Mayor. We've had a residence on Hine Road request gas service. They're building a new house. And so we need y'all to authorize us to go to the Public Service Commission and have our certificate amended so that we can serve that residence. We're actually going for the whole road. It'll be, if we ever finish the countywide safety plan, that will be in our certificated
That being
area.
Hind Road?
Huh?
Hind Road?
Hine, yeah.
Well, I'm familiar with that area, and I thought it was spelled H-I-N-E and not H-I-N-D. Are you sure of that?
I think it's H-I-N. I give up.
He said he thinks.
You think it's E?
I think it's E, but it may be, there may be another road in that area.
We can make it either way, just a little short road.
You get that.
Okay. Any questions or discussion on this? And again, you have a little guidance from counselor, from our attorney is relative to the wording of that motion. If you want to follow that, or if you'd like to make your own, chair is ready to accept anything and everything.
Does Connie have a copy of this? You do not. Well then,
I'll-
if I read it, we'd be here for
There are
about
plenty
2 or
of
3 more
copies.
hours.
There you go. Pass that down to her.
You can just make a motion, if you choose to do so, to have that language stated under Roman numeral 2.
And either E or D is appropriate, Hein or Hind.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
check the
Hein-
spelling tomorrow.
I think Hein lives on it, and I know it's not Hein.
That fine, okay.
I would actually prefer that
I'll read it.
it get read, so thank you.
I wish I'd worn my glasses tonight. I move to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute any agreements necessary with Atlanta Gas Light and any other natural gas suppliers in said area to allow for the Hine, H-I-N-E road territory to be serviced by the City of Cartersville Gas Department, subject to the approval of the agreements by the city attorney's office, the gas superintendent, and the city manager. Furthermore, the city attorney on behalf of the city of Cartersville is hereby authorized to file for a supplemental application for an amended certificate of public convenience and necessity and petition for waiver for the countywide safety plan rule in Floyd County with the Georgia Public Service Commission, and the mayor and city clerk are authorized to execute any and all documents necessary for said filing and responsive pleadings.
I have a motion. Would anyone like to second that?
Second.
Can you repeat that motion on your second?
No.
Good. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Gary. Any other business that needs to come before council this evening? Well,
The parade.
do have a number of activities in the community over the upcoming weekend. I know we've got a parade Friday morning. We've got activities at Dellinger Park on Friday, or excuse me, yeah, on the 4th from 10 to about 10. We got fireworks. We also have a concert downtown on the 3rd. We've got Alatoona Yacht Club fireworks on the 5th. We've even got another concert, I think, at the Pump House on the 5th as well. So a lot of different ways to get out and celebrate our nation's independence. I hope everybody has a safe one. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourn. Get in a run for that guy.